Every year, it's the same old story, right? Our annual fight against the seasonal flu. But behind what seems like a simple ritual, there's this incredible story of science, detective work, and global strategy. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this year's 2024-2025 season. Let's dive right in.
So, the big question, the one we ask every single year, is pretty simple. Are we ready for what the virus is going to throw at us? Well, this year, the flu has a few new tricks up its sleeve, and that sets the stage for this classic showdown between a constantly changing virus and our best scientific defenses.
To really get what's happening this season, we have to zoom way in, down to the microscopic level. A new and slightly different version of the flu has stepped onto the scene, and you can bet scientists are watching it like a hawk.
Okay, so here's the thing. Not all flu viruses are the same. Not even close. The one that's got everyone's attention right now is a subtype called influenza A, or H3N2. And the reason we worry about this one is that it's a master of disguise. It mutates incredibly fast. Plus, history tells us that H3N2 seasons tend to be more severe, which makes it a top priority.
And this season, there's a new troublemaker in the H3N2 family that's making some serious waves. Scientists are calling it subclade K. You can think of it like a brand new branch that just sprouted on the flu's massive family tree, and it's spreading fast.
So what's the big deal with this subclade K? Well, it's all about the changes. It's picked up 7 new mutations. Now, I know, 7 might not sound like a huge number, but trust me, in the world of viruses, that's a major costume change. It's enough to make it look pretty different from the virus our current vaccine was designed to fight.
And this is where it gets a little concerning. Dr. Antonia Ho from the University of Glasgow sums it up perfectly. What she's saying is, the virus might have changed just enough to slip past our body's security system, the immunity we've built up from past flu shots or from actually getting sick before.
Okay, so we've got a virus that's changed the game. How on earth do we even begin to fight back? Well, that brings us to this massive global effort to build our main line of defense, the annual flu vaccine.
So how do we build that shield? Well, it's not something we just whip up in the fall. It's this huge international race against the clock that happens all year long, trying to guess what the virus will do months before it actually does it.
And the grand conductor of this whole orchestra? It's the World Health Organization, the WHO. They're at the center of this incredible network of labs all over the globe that are constantly collecting flu samples, sequencing their genes, and sharing that data. It's a truly amazing example of global teamwork.
Let's break this whole thing down. It basically happens in 4 huge steps. First, you've got that constant surveillance we just talked about. Then, scientists pore over all that data trying to spot the next big threat, like our new friend subclade K. Step 3 is the big meeting. Experts get together twice a year to make a high-stakes, educated guess about which strains to put in the vaccine. And only then, once that decision is made, can companies start the long process of actually making the hundreds of millions of doses we need.
But, making the vaccine is only half the battle. We also have to figure out where this thing is going to pop up next and how bad it's going to be. And this is where modern tech is really changing the game.
Think about it. If you can predict the flu's next move, you can get ahead of it. You can warn hospitals, get supplies ready, and let the public know what's coming. And one of the wildest ways we're doing this involves a place we all visit every single day, the internet.
This is where things get really cool. The old-school model for forecasting, called DBM, just used historical data from doctors' offices. But the new and improved version, DBM Plus, adds a super powerful secret weapon, real-time data from the internet. I mean, what's one of the first things you do when you start feeling sick? You Google your symptoms, right? Well, all those searches create this huge, anonymous, real-time map of where the flu is starting to bubble up.
And does it actually work? Oh yeah, the results are pretty amazing. Adding all that internet data gives our predictions a serious accuracy boost. To put it in perspective, the improvement is like a team in the CDC's big forecasting competition jumping from 7th place all the way up to 1st. These digital breadcrumbs give us a huge head start.
Okay, so we've got smart science making the vaccine and cool tech predicting its path. But what about the folks on the ground? How ready is our public health system to actually handle a tough flu season when it arrives? Let's zoom all the way out and see.
And with a new strain like subclade K making the rounds, this isn't just an academic question, right? It's super important. A recent report called Ready or Not 2025 gives us a kind of national report card on public health, and honestly, the grades are a bit mixed.
First, let's talk about the biggest tool in our toolbox,
the vaccine. Last season, the flu vaccination rate in the US was just 47%, less than half. That leaves a huge opening for the virus to spread.
Now, 47% might not sound terrible until you hear what the goal is. The national target is 70%. So, yeah, we're not just missing the mark, we're way off.
Beyond just vaccination rates, the picture gets a little more complicated. There's some good news and some not so good news. On the bright side, nearly all states have a plan to ramp up lab testing if needed, and a big chunk of them have made it easier for nurses to help out across state lines. But, and this is a big but, 14 states actually cut their public health funding last year, which is not great.
Okay, we've gone from the virus to the vaccine to the whole public health system. Let's zoom all the way back in now and talk about what all this means for you. What's the best defense you have this year?
You hear it from experts all over the world, like Dr. Jamie Lopez-Bernal here, and the message is always the same, and it's crystal clear. Even with all the challenges, getting your flu shot is still, by far, the best way to protect yourself from getting really sick.
And look, we've got some early data that shows this in action. Even against this new tricky strain, the vaccine is working. Early numbers out of the UK show it's about 75% effective at keeping kids out of the hospital, and about 40% effective for adults. So it might not be a perfect force field against getting the sniffles, but it's doing a fantastic job of preventing the kind of illness that lands you in the hospital. And of course, the vaccine isn't the only thing we can do. It works best when you combine it with all the simple, smart habits we've gotten pretty good at. Staying home if you're sick, washing your hands like you mean it, covering your coughs, and maybe wearing a mask in crowded places when lots of people are getting sick. They're extra layers of armor.
So at the end of the day, here's what it all comes down to. The flu is a moving target. It never stops changing. This whole annual battle takes incredible science, amazing global cooperation, and strong health systems. And it leaves us with one really big question for the future. As the virus keeps getting smarter, can we make sure our science, our technology, and our systems are nimble enough to stay one step ahead